What's going on, everybody? I'm just making this video to hopefully reach out to anybody who's been in my emotional situation or mind space, like myself, either right now or recently or whatever the case may be. I just, in the future, even just want to put my thoughts and feelings out in the air and kind of just give my own experience of sort of the struggles that I've been facing here in my 20s this year, and how I'm starting to slowly get out of them. So back in January, after getting a nice promotion at my job that I started working at last in the spring of 2025, summer of 2025, that's when I got promoted. I got demoted, and that was killer to my soul, my spirit. It it just felt like all the work I put in to get to that point was all for nothing, and essentially, little by little, I felt more and more like my boss, my employer, my some of my coworkers who work above me in the ranks, they didn't care about me, and come to find out through time and conversations, some of them truly didn't, and I was right, and there was a lot of backstabbing and stuff going on, and that was a lot to cope with as someone who's just trying to make it out of college, basically. Not even a year out, I started working there, and having to face middle-aged employees coming at my head for stuff that I had nothing to really no control over, and stuff like that. Giving my all and just kind of given not great circumstances at times, and just unfair treatment and perception. It was rough. It was something that it took me a while to try to cope with, and try to just get over, to not let take over my own mind and thoughts, and how I perceived myself and my abilities as a worker, but even just as a person. It starts to eat at you just on a personal level at some point. It goes beyond the workplace. You leave, but essentially, in the capitalistic society we live in, when you get thrown off the cliff at work like that and told, hey, that full-time job you got, we're going to cut you down to part-time, try to make this work. Yeah, you know what? You got people backstabbing you? Guess what? Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not. You're not going to feel good about yourself as soon as you close the door. You're not going to be able to just forget those things. And, it's just, you can't. Sorry. So during that time, I was dealing with that. And eventually, that demotion led to me eating through my savings just to get by and pay for all my bills and stuff, all that good stuff. And I couldn't really afford to live anymore. And that was very stressful and also depressing, just very emotionally demoralizing when you know you're capable of more, and you're deserving of more, like with the effort you put in, the results you get out from that effort. That's a lot to take. That's a lot to take by itself. Then, if all that wasn't enough, right? This demotion that took place fell on the week of my birthday. And to celebrate my birthday, I, wanted to go out with my friends. So we did, and we made a night out of it. And come to find out that the person I really, truly cared about as an amazing friend, but dare I say romantically, was there, and found out that they were texting someone that night at the table, and that hurt. That hurt. To be honest, the big reason why I wanted her there was to be one of my main focuses that night. to be fully honest, right? And it didn't work out that way. And it was for very, very, for me at least, unfortunate reasons. And this is someone that I've emotionally have been tied to for a very long time. So coming to this realization was not fun. Was not fun. Like I said, this is going on the same week as everything else. So just add that to the list. Also happened to be the week where it was the 1 year anniversary of my grandfather's passing, and that was something that was definitely in my mind during that time too, on an emotional level, just trying to cope with that still, and the fact that it came up on a year, that was another layer, that was another piece. So at this time, there was just so many things going against me, right? And it just never got better for months. I continued being part-time and unable to afford stuff, just losing more money and money as the weeks went by, becoming more distance with that person that I was talking about as they got closer with their guy. And it was a lot. It was a lot to just deal with. It was a lot to compartmentalize. And then trying to enter this terrible job market yet again, and going on countless interviews and getting seemingly positive feedback, from the people that I was interviewing with and hiring managers and recruiters and stuff like that, for not to amount to anything for months, until finally I had a breakthrough just last week. Had a great interview over the phone, met up with them the week after in person, filled out my application there that day in person, put my desired salary range and my references, all that there. And next morning in my email inbox, offers there. Matched my salary, and rest is history. And for me, that was really just a motivating just moment, I guess you can call it, when that happened, outside of just being happy to finally have, a job on the horizon where I'll be able to, get trained, on top of my, base job there, getting trained to develop further and stuff like that, going to the future and getting my salary matched, with no questions, no issues, and getting all that sent back to me overnight. I mean, not even like 24 hours, closer to like 12 hours, which is crazy. It was awesome, right? But then it started to give me that confidence again. Confidence that I was capable of more, in general. And so I didn't have to settle for and, feel like I was tied down to this terrible lifestyle I've been dealing with for half a year, basically, more than half a year at this point, And so now I'm in a much better headspace. But for me, the true realization and moment that kind of turned everything over, to this positive flip that I have going on now, is the realization that, as much as we love things for what they are, sometimes that's a past tense matter. And how we know and understand things to be doesn't always last, and it might already be behind us. And I kind of had to accept that. I had to kind of come to terms with the fact that maybe the way that I perceived my life and the lifestyle itself and the relationship dynamics and things that I was pursuing that maybe that just wasn't doable anymore in the way that I imagined it, a year ago. And that's okay. And it's also okay to not be and feel okay with that either, as you come to terms with that. That was the really important part that I had to understand and come to terms with, was allowing myself to not be and feel okay with poor circumstances and changing circumstances that I necessarily didn't know and ask for and how to respond to, especially on an immediate basis. I kind of had to forgive myself for being in a new experience yet again and trying to rebuild. And so at this point, I just think it's really important for people like myself in these circumstances and situations, if you can relate to any of it at all, to just give yourself that time to forgive yourself and to not blame and hate yourself or feel down. I mean, you can feel that way, of course, but not to let yourself feel that way because of the way you try to make things unfold. You can't blame yourself for trying something and going for something, and then have it not pan out. It's not fair to yourself, and we're all just learning, especially people in my bracket, in my age bracket. We're just learning, man. We're all there's a good saying that I've been seeing a lot recently, and it's just very simple, but it's as simple as it is, it's equally as true. Everybody's living life for the first time. We don't have all the answers. We don't have necessarily the experiences to go off of as if we have lived multiple lives, We have that stashed away. So a lot of the times this stuff is going on and we just have to take it at face value and just do our best to just make it work on a day-to-day basis. And that's not always easy. That's not always fun. And that's just a life challenge, This is how life goes sometimes. But it's important. I found it so important recently. And a big motivating factor actually was, believe it or not, watching that new Spider-Man movie, Brand New Day, where, no spoilers, just a general synopsis of the main character plot, where he's really down in the dumps with a lot of the stuff that's happened in his life, and he's trying to find ways to just find himself again and rebuild his understanding of his own life and his importance in society and the people around him, and seeing him go through those challenges and kind of rebuild his mindset back from square one, and get things going on a good track for himself in the future, was something that I think a lot of people can connect with. And for me, it personally did. I connected a lot with a lot of the conflicts in that film, and seeing how he had those conversations and seeing the things he did and how he interpreted the situations to really just accept those terms and to turn that page was very motivating for me. It really was. And I think a lot of people too in a similar situation can take a very similar approach when watching that. If you haven't, or if you have even already, then you can know what I'm talking about, and you can definitely make those connections if you haven't already. It checks a lot of boxes, I think, for a lot of people, and just in life in general with the struggles and just what people go through. It's a very, it's a very personable character and plot line and struggles that, yeah, just a lot of people can connect to. So if you feel a certain way about yourself, anything like that, just give yourself the time to forgive yourself and to allow yourself to learn from it and to little by little find the parts inside of you that's ready to take the next steps and move on and create a new lifestyle and habit and mindset that you can sustain and grow with. Because it's not easy. It's not easy, and there's no perfect formula for anyone, and everyone's circumstances are different too, of course. So everyone has to consider their own life and challenges and everything like that. So if you're going through anything like that, just keep your head up. Just take it day by day, little by little. Try to just do little things to make yourself and your circumstances just a little bit better, little by little every day. And eventually, like everything that's come before us, everything comes to an end. This too shall pass. Take care of yourself. Don't put yourself down. Don't let anyone else put yourself down. And be well.